Hi, I'm April D. Scheffler. Welcome to a special edition of Scheffy's Sandbox. In this series, I'm calling the Ambling Bear Dreamcast. I delve into dreams and explore their symbolism to reveal the elegant messages condensed inside. Dream work is one of my passions, and today's dream is from a friend whom I will call Dan. And even though his dream sounds a little scary, it's actually one full of promise and comfort, and I'm eager to dig in. So the dream I'll have to kind of piece together from memory, but he was moving, physically moving from one house to another. So he had something in his hands that he was going to put in his vehicle, and one of his friends was outside with him. And his friend, we'll call this friend Ryan. Ryan had a pet snake that he was holding, and the pet snake started to wrap around Ryan's arm. And the way Ryan was reacting to this, Dan could tell that this was not a normal situation. This was not cool. Something different was happening. And so this is where the tension and the fear starts to build. The snake, again, wraps around and then bites Ryan right here in the hand, on his right hand, between his thumb and his forefinger. And so Ryan screams, and he reaches up and wipes the blood off on his left shoulder. And the snake goes into the shadows of the vehicle. I guess it's nighttime. So maybe it's from a street light or whatever, but it's in the shadows of the vehicle. And our friend Dan looks over at Ryan and says, "Are you okay?" Not because he's really just concerned about himself, but he thought he should ask, just to be polite, like, "Are you okay?" When his real concern was, is it headed for me next? And I guess the snake seemed to grow in size, and he saw that it was about to pounce, or whatever snakes do. It was getting ready to jump and lurch out at him. So that's what I remember from the dream. So when I was starting to work with the symbols, I asked Dan what 3 words he would use to describe his friend Ryan. And I also asked him if he knew or had a sense of what he was holding onto. Oh, that's what I forgot. That had scratched the vehicle. So whenever the snake is about to pounce, whatever he had been carrying in his hands, he backed up and it scratched his vehicle. Okay, so having said that, this will make sense. I asked him if he had a sense of what it was that he was holding in his arms when he had scratched his truck. So you'll hear his answers in the next part. Here's my interpretation for Dan. The dream speaks of transition, right? You're moving from one house to another, and houses in dreams tend to represent a way of being. And so you're moving from one house, one way of being, to another house. So what I am interested in is what am I hanging on to from my past that I'm wanting to bring into my future? And then I would ask myself, is that going to serve me? And so Dan had said what it was in his hands were antlers. And I was like, wow, dreams really are so elegant, because antlers to me are like, they just spell out trophy to me. So I told him that if the antlers you were packing are a symbol of trophies, it makes sense to me that the ego would want to take trophies from the past into its new future. And what I found out in my research online is that the snake, even though we're often scared of them, generally they denote health. Okay, and now characters and people in our dream, often we can get a lot more from the dream if we use those people as representations of aspects of ourselves. So let's go to Ryan. The snake was wrapping around Ryan's arm. And the 3 words that Dan used to describe Ryan were loving, confused, and lost. So if you think of those as part of yourself, Ryan is just a stand-in, right? Representing that part of yourself that is loving, confused, and lost. My internet research also said that when a snake wraps around a body part, that's a signal to what part of your body needs healing. And here it's the arm. And what I thought was fascinating is that in this dream, Dan specifically knew it was Ryan's right arm. So generally the right, especially if that's your dominant hand, denotes masculine energy. It's symbolic of the part of you that is the doer in life. And sometimes it can also relate to career. So that is what I'm possibly thinking that this is speaking to, because it bit Ryan's hand. And hand is even more specific, at least to me, to work and career. Like you're putting your hand to the plow, or a person who works with their hands. To me, it speaks of a job. And what was so cool is that Dan specified where it bit on the right hand. And so I knew that there was an acupuncture point right there. And in the show notes, I'll put a link to the website, which refers to it as the Great Eliminator for a couple of different reasons. So you'll be able to read in that article that it again speaks to transition. And it's doing away with what no longer serves you. So we already mentioned that the snake wrapping around the body part shows where the problem is. A bite, however, is symbolic of actual healing. So why I keep thinking about career and job is that this point on the hand is also one of those places that can treat carpal tunnel syndrome. So like some kind of repetitive activity. And again, it's masculine energy on the right side. And you'll notice that after the healing happens, Ryan, or you actually, Dan, reaches up to the left shoulder to stop the bleeding. And Ryan doesn't die, even though he's scared. Everyone's scared. He doesn't die. I mean, he has blood to let you know this is serious stuff. But he reaches over to his feminine side, the left, that part that doesn't need, that doesn't feel a need to do or act. It's more of a learning, receptive, spiritual, maybe creative side. And the blood was wiped off at the shoulder, not the hand. So there's no doing whatsoever. And to me, the shoulder speaks of a supportive role. If you think of the phrases, the weight of the world is on your shoulders, or shouldering responsibility, that kind of thing, it's very supportive. So he's going to the left side to wipe the blood off. So I think we all come to a point, at least in the literature I'm reading, that we have to start off with a masculine energy in life, just to be able to realize that it has its limits. And then we end up going to the feminine side of ourselves. So I would look at what type of job, career, or something that I'm doing repetitively, a way of acting in this world, where the snake is healing. So in some cultures, the snake represents the south, the direction of the south, and it's an archetype of shedding our skins all at once, understanding our wounds, being one with and resolving our past hurts, and finding the gifts in our injuries. It's where we tap into our instincts. So the serpent leads us to shed our personal shadows, our past, and the stories that prevent us from moving forward. And I think the only damage that was actually done, if this was a healing bite, was the scratch in the car. And what prompted the scratch in the car was fear, right? Like it wasn't actually what was actually happening that damaged the vehicle, which is your way of moving through life, but it was what you were holding on to and the fear that caused you to bump into it. So to me, if this were my dream, I guess I would try to come to peace with this snake, thank it for its medicine, and try to see the gift in the wounding of my past, which I know is much easier said than done, and not let the fear, because you said yourself it was a beautiful beast. So even as scary as it was, you recognized it was beautiful. So the takeaway is an invitation to not be afraid of the transformation, but instead to observe what am I doing? How am I working in the world? And then I'm going to reach to my feminine energy, my feminine side for the healing that I need. So, all right, listeners, that's it for now. If you'd like to have a dream interpreted, email it to me. My email address is thesandboxpod@gmail.com. That's THESANDBOXPOD@gmail.com. Keep dreaming and much love.